Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. Zoro being turned into a demon by none other than Imu-sama. You didn't see that coming, did you? First of all, let's remember that since the Wano arc, Zoro's connection with the idea of a curse has started to take real shape. Enma, introduced in chapter 955, was presented as a sword capable of drawing out its users' haki and forcing them to release more than they're used to. It's almost like the sword is alive. That alone brought a noticeable change in Zoro, both in terms of power and temperament. He even says in chapter 1033 that the sword isn't cursed, it's just demanding. And the coolest part? He accepts the challenge with a smile. That already shows he's not afraid to walk a path others might see as dark. He might even find it fun. And that's where this theory gets really interesting. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Imu-sama started taking real action around chapter 1085. He's a mysterious entity. We still don't know exactly what he is, but the fact is he can manipulate shadows, dark silhouettes that look like creatures made of pure dark energy. And when he used that attack on Cobra and tried to hide the existence of the D, it became clear that he wields power far beyond the ordinary. That's where I think he might take an interest in someone like Zoro, because Zoro has the kind of aura that fits the kind of manipulation Imu seems capable of. He's not just strong, he's serious, quiet, and he's always carried a kind of inner darkness. You could say Imu, or Gonko Imu, has a level of manipulation way beyond anything we've seen from any other villain in the series. And that's where the idea starts to form. Imu doesn't just manipulate people through fear or authority, but through some kind of supernatural contract that affects even a person's will and physical form. First, remember when we saw the demonic contract used to transform Brogy, who used to be an ally of Luffy, into a demonic giant, stronger, bigger, and completely under Imu's control. It wasn't a request, it wasn't a deal, it was a forced transformation, his body altered by magic or some supernatural power that Gonko Imu pulled from some kind of ancient book. Basically, he manipulates people's bodies and destinies like they're puppets in a story he's writing. Then there's the use of Domi Reversi, which seems to be the official name of the technique Imu uses to reverse the will of the giants and turn them into demonic subordinates. We see this clearly with Dory and the other giant warrior pirates. They didn't just change physically, they started obeying Imu. That makes it clear Imu doesn't persuade, he corrupts. He doesn't need you to believe in anything. He gets into your soul, changes your nature, and just like that, you're on his side. There's also Killingham's comment about the nightmare holes and monsters born from the island's dreams. That hints that Imu's manipulation goes even deeper. He can turn fear, trauma, and bad memories into actual weapons. And more. If these monsters can be revived whenever he wants, then no one's really out of his reach. He plays with existence like he's reading a book where he can rip out characters and paste in new chapters. Now imagine Imu trying to manipulate someone like Luffy. It wouldn't work. Luffy is pure sun, energy, and stubbornness, but with Zoro, it's a different game. He already has a connection to the underworld. Not the criminal one, but the spiritual one. He saw the Grim Reaper in Wano, chapter 1038, which fans still debate as either literal or metaphorical. But the point is, it represents a deep connection with the idea of life and energy being drained. And what if that Reaper wasn't just a hallucination? What if it was a kind of foreshadowing, like an early manifestation of the influence Imu might exert over him in the future? Another interesting thing is that Zoro almost always gets the worst of it when spiritual energy or other dimensions are involved. In Thriller Bark, for example, Zoro is the only one who willingly takes Luffy's pain, chapter 485, without hesitation. But right after, he collapses, covered in blood. And when Sanji asks what happened, all he says is, nothing happened. That could be a hint that Zoro has been tested for a long time, maybe by forces beyond our understanding. This is where Imu's presence starts to make even more sense. We've seen he's now interfering directly in the world. The destruction of Lulusia, chapter 1060, showed that he has access to powers that distort everything, even geography. And what if he's starting to use that same power to mess with people too? What if he realizes that the only way to break the Straw Hats from the inside is to turn one of them into something else? Against their will? Picture the scene. Zoro wakes up, his eyes completely black, dark energy radiating from his body, his swords vibrating in a strange way. And he says with no emotion, "Get out of my way, or I'll cut you down." Nami's crying. Chopper's screaming while trying to analyze what's happening. Sanji steps in front without hesitation, and Luffy just stands there, watching, trying to figure out if there's still any part of Zoro left inside. The kind of scene that gives you chills just thinking about it, and all of it caused by direct interference from Imu, trying to create the emotional chaos needed to break the Straw Hats from within. And from a narrative standpoint, it makes sense too. Oda has been putting the characters in situations that challenge their emotions and bonds more and more. Sanji, for example, nearly lost himself to Germatech and was afraid of losing his feelings. Chapter 1028. So why not put Zoro in a similar situation? The difference is, while Sanji's test was technological, Zoro's could be spiritual, supernatural. One representing scientific advancement, the other representing the dark side of curses and the occult. It would be a great way to balance the two and highlight the duality within the crew. And another thing that makes a lot of sense is Zoro's past. We don't really know much about his origins, right? There are theories that say he might be connected to the Shimotsuki clan. Chapter 1024 backs this up. But what if Oda is saving that part of the story to reveal that Zoro's bloodline is actually special? Maybe something tied to a lineage that's more in tune with the spirit world or even cursed energy, like the kind Imu seems to control. It might sound like a stretch, but if you remember that Brook exists in this world, a literal skeleton with a soul, then it's clear the whole spirit concept isn't just symbolic. It's real. A soul can be separated, messed with, twisted, and Zoro's the kind of character who could go through that kind of transformation, especially if it ends up being an emotional obstacle for Luffy. Because Luffy has never had to truly fight Zoro. Sure, they've had little clashes, like in Water 7, chapter 329, where Zoro made it clear he wouldn't tolerate betrayal. But a real fight with both of them going all out? That hasn't happened. And maybe this is the time for it. Of course, I don't think Zoro would stay transformed forever. I see it more as a phase, an arc that tests his willpower to show just how far he'll go to stay in control. And it would be amazing to see him break Imu's influence through sheer willpower, like Sanji did when he destroyed Germa's chip using his own body, or like Luffy has done so many times when he resisted hallucinations, manipulation, or even direct control, like with Hancock, chapter 516. In the end, it would just be another test, another moment of overcoming limits. But Zoro turning into a demon would look absolutely insane. I can already picture the new look. His hair loose and wild, maybe his sword's transforming too, like Sandai Kitetsu turning into something alive, breathing, with red eyes. And the transformation happening at the peak of the final battle, right in the middle of a clash with the Gorosei, with everyone shocked, not knowing whether to fight Zoro or try to save. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.